Isometric strategy and turn-based aren't the first things that come to mind when discussing Gears of War. However, Gears Tactics aims to deliver just that, reimagining the tense cover-based shooting from an altogether different perspective. Releasing on April 28th for PC on Steam and the Microsoft Store, what makes Gears Tactics so different from the mainline games? Well, let's take a look at 9 main differences here. Prequel. We've seen the Gears of War series go to all kinds of places, at least in the mainline games. However, Gears Tactics is a prequel. It takes place even earlier than Gears of War Judgment, going back 12 years prior to the first game. The Locusts are rising up, causing havoc across Serra, and governments around the world are scrambling. In the midst of all of this is Gabe Diaz, the father of Kate Diaz, who's on a mission to gather soldiers and assault Yukon, the apparent mastermind who's creating these so-called monsters. How Yukon fits into the larger role, what Queen Mira's role will be, the lambent, and the impact of Gabe's actions are still to be seen. But for the most part, this is a brand new cast with their own motivations and character drama to worry about. Turn-based tactical strategy. Of course, the biggest difference from the previous games is the turn-based tactical strategy combat. Much like the XCOM series, players will command each unit in a squad from an isometric perspective, issuing commands for moving and attacking foes. While the overall role of cover hasn't been detailed, there are mechanics like partial hit, which seems to be functioning like grazing, dealing only a bit of damage to the unit. Also, like Firaxis' XCOM games, the combat will shift to a more cinematic view when firing upon foes, with the classic over-the-shoulder perspective of the Gears series being seen. And yes, missing shots is also very much a thing. Customize armor and weapons for squad mates. Another similarity to XCOM is the ability to customize the different armor and weapons that your squad uses. In terms of weapons, we've seen the usual long-shot sniper rifle, Lancer assault rifle, and retro Lancer being used. Locust foes have been seen with the Hammerburst and Boomshot, so it's more than likely that players will be able to use those too, especially with marketing indicating that you can collect loot from missions to arm up your squad. Whether one will have the ability to fully customize the appearance of their soldiers remains to be seen, perhaps for the non-plot relevant soldiers, if such exist within the game. Different skills and abilities. Different classes exist, each with their own skills and passive abilities. For example, Sid Redburn is a Vanguard and can enable the Breach +1 debuff against foes. Michaela Dorn is a sniper who can deal high damage and potentially one-shot headshot foes. Again, the breakdown of each class and their abilities has yet to be detailed, but you can still look forward to chainsawing and bayoneting foes with the Lancer and Retro Lancer respectively, so that's nice. It also seems that different armor sets will have their own abilities, but that hasn't been detailed too closely. Developed by Splash Damage and the Coalition. The original trilogy was developed by Epic Games, with the Coalition part of Xbox Game Studios handling Gears of War 4 and Gears 5. And while the Coalition is working on Gears Tactics, Splash Damage is also a developer. The latter is known for a number of different games, from multiplayer shooters like Dirty Bomb to the Enemy Territory games. It even worked on the multiplayer for Gears of War 4 and Gears 5, so it has a good amount of familiarity with this franchise. Campaign length. Previous Gears of War titles weren't exceptionally long when it came to the campaign. You could wrap up the main story in about 10 to 11 hours, and even a completionist run wouldn't take more than 20. Not so in the case of Gears Tactics. The Coalition has promised a campaign that's over 40 hours in length. One could point to the overall slower gameplay, not to mention the number of times you'd have to potentially reload a save, because turn-based tactics for the win. Regardless of how many missions the final game ends up having, strategy and Gears fans alike are in for a meaty first run through the campaign. PC first. Perhaps the biggest departure for Gears Tactics is that it will be the first game in the series' history to launch for PC first. Granted, it is developed first and foremost with PC in mind, being a turn-based tactical strategy title, but an Xbox One version is also in development. The Coalition hasn't indicated when the console version would release, so PC is the place to be for Gears Tactics when it launches in April. No multiplayer or co-op. Unfortunately, another major departure from previous games is that there will be no multiplayer or co-op of any kind. While this isn't anything new for a tactical turn-based title or a strategy title in general, it would have been kind of nice to have a co-op element at the very least. For now, it seems that fans of the multiplayer in Gears of War will need to stick to the mainline games. No microtransactions. If we're talking exclusions, though, one major departure for Gears Tactics, especially compared to Gears 5, is the complete lack of microtransactions. That even extends to cosmetics. Everything is earned in-game, though how they're earned and whether they're simply tied to armor looted during missions remains to be seen. We do know that pre-purchasing the game before April 28th nets the Thrashball Cole character pack, which comes with Augustus Cole as a recruit and the Thrashball armor set with rare abilities. Other than that, we'll have to wait and see for more details. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.